In this tutorial, I'm going to explain to you how you can use the voting and rating feature in Collaboard. I created a project with 4 attendees. So we have here Albert, who is the owner, we have a guest, we have Leonardo, and we have Michael. As Albert is the owner and also has the facilitator tools, he can start here a new voting session. To create a new voting session, click here on this plus and now give it a name. So we have the name of the new voting session, and now we can decide if we want to start a voting or a rating. When we do a voting session, we can couple this with the timer, so we can add or remove some more time or adjust this dynamically, and we can decide the number of votes that should be available per person. As a next step, we need to decide who can participate in our voting session. So let's say here we just want to have all the people in the project participating in our voting session. Now, as all the configurations are ready, we start the session. So what we see next is here that all the elements we have on the project get this new voting overlay. So what we can do now is we can give the votes to these single sticky notes. So we had 3 notes in the whole project, and Albert now gave these 3 votes. As he is the facilitator, he also sees the number of votes that are assigned to a sticky note. So if we see now the other people also giving their votes, they are going to increase based on the user feedback. Now, as a facilitator, you have a special overview, so you can always click here and then you see the status of the voting of all the attendees. So we see here that the guests spent all the votes. We see Michael has 1 vote left and Leonardo has 3 votes left. And basically Albert used all the votes. For a participant in a voting session, it looks a little bit different. So if we go here to the view of Leonardo, he can give here the votes, but he doesn't see the summary. And he has here a button where he can say, I finished. So this is an option how the participant can let the facilitator know when he's done with the voting session. Now, going back to the overview of Albert, we see now that most of the participants finished. So Leonardo also told us that he finished the session. So we know, and in this case, we don't need to wait until the timer is running out. So we just click here again to stop the voting session. As soon as we have stopped the voting session, we want to access the results. And we can do that by clicking here again on the voting icon. So here we can access the details of our voting session. We see all the elements on which was voted, and we also see the results. There are some other information like from when the voting session is, how long it was, and also the number of participants and the number of votes that were not used. So here we can either start a new session or we can go back to the archive, and with this button here we have the option to push and share the results to the board itself. So if we do that, we create here a new object on the board which basically gets the main information about the voting itself and highlights the element that won. And this is basically how you use the voting functionality in Collaboard.